get the player that you need at the spot that you have. Sometimes you have to change that spot and trade. What does this look like today on Mock Draft Monday here on Locked On Chiefs?
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back, friends and neighbors. Thanks for making us your first listen here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Make another Locked On show your next one. We appreciate you very much. We are going to have a good time today. We've got a ton going on. I'm Ryan Tracy, the founder of Rogue Analytics and Performance Consulting, where version 1 of the Athletic Matrix is already out. You can get it today right over there. Use the code LOC, just for those of you that are new here, and you'll get a nice little chunk off of it. Version 2 will come out when Pro Days wrap up. The draft guide is under construction thanks to the rest of my team grinding on the film. We will have that for you shortly, so check that out. If you want more, get over to KC Chiefs Corner, where Chris is doing all of his work, especially on the cap and all the numbers that you need to know. And then come back around to RGR Football and NFL 33 for all your draft prep and all of that. You can find that much more right here on our text line. If something breaks, you'll see it there at 816-357-8781. We appreciate you very much. We're going to get into it. Mock Draft Monday, we're going to go through a couple more scenarios, what it looks like if the Chiefs do need to go make something happen and why that could be. What does that do to the whole process? Where's the value in this draft and what are the steals? And we're going to jump right into it. We're going to be using the PFF mock machine so that we can get the good visuals here. And the machine that I think is the most consistent about that, we've been using that as our preferred tool. We'll do that again today. So anything hit you over the weekend that, you want to change the philosophy of what might happen here?
No, I think that this is about what we would expect it to be. At this point, we are just waiting to figure out, where Kansas City is going to be picking in the first round. I do think that they are probably not going to stay at 31. I think we both probably agree with that. Regardless of whether or not they trade up or trade down, I not think they're going to be picking at 31.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. One way or the other, the two scenarios do make some sense. So let's entertain some thoughts here. I have finished up my offensive tackle grades. They will be in the draft guide. You guys can get those. And tier 1's a little bit thin. I got to tell you, I only have 3 grades that are round 1 draftable, in my opinion, that I could be comfortable with. Those guys are likely to go off the board. We're going to see how that goes. That's obviously a very big need, but you also need defensive interior players. You could use an edge. You certainly could use another wide receiver. Value in the first is going to be the big question. So I guess let's see how it rolls. Now we're going to let this go. We're just up. Yes, Seahawks, good one. So an NFC team, always like it when they're on the clock because if you need to do something. Michael Williams went just recently. He's a guy that I do like his play style. I think it would fit what Spags likes to do. If they did get to the point where they wanted to go edge and he was there, okay. But at 18, we could try to go to the Seahawks because both offensive tackles and the defensive tackles have been slow to come off here. I believe I saw Graham, but that's the only defensive tackle I thought I saw.
So Graham went early.
Yep, at 5. Will Campbell, the offensive tackle, comes off at 7. A lot of talk about him maybe going inside. I doubt that. Okay, Grant did come off as well at 11 to the San Francisco 49ers. And that brings us down to 18 here at the Seahawks. This is a little rich. I feel like this might be a little bit demanding, but if we want to try this or the Bucks at the next pick, I think that's probably possible. And then we can look at the NFC North teams.
So what is it going to take to get to 19? What do you think?
I'm guessing it's going to take 95. And that won't even do it for them. See if the Seahawks are more willing to play ball.
Nope,
not as much. Okay. So would you give up more here? This gap between 95 and 133 has me a little worried. So I'm not really willing to give up much more than this. I would probably drop down and look at either the Vikings or the Packers as a possible trade partner at this point.
Yeah, problem is you have no idea who's going to go in the next 6 picks. So let's resume the draft for a couple more and see what happens to get down to 23-ish.
Fair enough.
And
so they
missed
took
it by one.
Ibuka. Yeah, it happens. I do like Ibuka. He would have been a fit and a conversation to have here had we gotten on the board at 23. But if we can trade up to 24, Nolan went, Banks went, Josh Simmons went. 3 guys that I think could be targets for the Kansas City Chiefs. So at this point, we could see what we can do at 24, or else we're just going to have to ride that out.
I mean, all the tackles are pretty much gone except for Connerly.
And I don't have a first round grade on him, so I'd rather slip back if that's the way that it works out. But
and your defensive tackles are gone. Wide receivers pretty much gone. So now you're just looking at, I believe
we have one interior defensive lineman left on the board that I have a very borderline grade on. That's Derek Harmon from Oregon. I didn't see him slip off the board. So if we want to try for that, we can.
Okay, let's resume the draft and get down to...
No, I would try to trade with the Vikings right here.
Oh, you want to go to 24?
Yes. I don't think he'll last much longer. Will
95 will do
33? That's pretty close. I'd even give him a 6th rounder next year. See if they'll pull that off. And this is the fun part of this particular machine, is you got to play with it a little bit to see what those offers might be.
Okay, they don't want to make that trade.
That's a little bit tough. I don't think I want to give up 95.
No, because that basically, I would agree. I don't think you give up 95 because then you don't have a pick from basically the end of the second round and all the way into the 5th round.
Yeah. Well, then let's roll. Let's see what we get at 31. We'll make our decision. Maybe we'll trade back. You never know. Trade value in this draft is going to be key, folks, is what you can get done with trade partners and what.
Oh, look at there.
Very, very tempting. On my board, the top available player here in this scenario is Colston Loveland, who is my tight end in this class. And he and Arroyo from Miami are the 2 guys that I think if you want to try and supplement what Travis does now before Travis looks at retirement, they are 2 very good options. Harmon is here as well, so he lasted. The question for me to you, if it's me, I'm saying there's a bigger need at defensive tackle. I would take Harmon myself. If you're Brett Veach, and I'm just making my pitch to you, it's based on value and what would fit in and get reps in 2025 on our roster.
I mean, I think you have to look at the entirety of the roster, and to me, defensive tackle is a much bigger need than tight end, and I don't think it's even close. I'm not going to say that I like what they have behind Travis Kelce for the future overall, but really hard to take a tight end at this point, in my opinion.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, let's pull the trigger on Harmon and see where we get to. That's where we get one more trade scenario that we tried several times here in the first round, folks. When we get back after this, we're going to take a look at what else they might be willing to do in terms of moving around the board like Brett Veach likes to do. We're going to do that coming up next.
March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets and much, much more on FanDuel. I've got my eye on a few underdogs this year, and FanDuel makes it easy to back them with the spreads, totals, and game props you want to know. With tournament games happening almost every day, there's always something exciting to bet on. The FanDuel app is simple to use, and when I win, I get paid instantly. There is no waiting around. I can use that money for whatever I want immediately. It is fantastic. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long.
back on the board. The clock has stopped. We are sitting at 46. Chiefs made the first round selection, got Derek Harmon, defensive tackle, and now there seems to be a natural pause here at the Atlanta Falcons. Is that what you're thinking?
Oh, I just kind of hit the pause button. So
Oh,
I figured we didn't want to go all the way to 63. So just kind of hit the pause button and thought that we would take a look and see what had happened to see if there's anybody that stands out. Colston Loveland went, it looks like 5 picks later. So he's long gone. I mean, you took defensive tackle already. I don't think
there'll be plenty of opportunity to double up. And it looks like this fell pretty much how I have it, as if we had not been able to get Derek Harmon. The next guy on my board is Tyler Williams from Ohio State. Looks like he went 39th. So that does give you a reference. If the Chiefs wanted to trade back, that's what we'd probably have to be looking in that range to stay within the 30s. If the Chiefs trade back from 31, maybe we'll look at that next week. But at this point, what would it cost to go to 46? My guess is it's going to be a pretty steep value. But there is rumor out over this weekend about the future of one Kirk Cousins in the Atlanta region, and maybe something like this gets moved where they have extra picks and they might be a little bit more willing to move on from some of theirs in another week or two.
Yeah, it's going to be expensive to move up that far, though. Let's see.
Then I'm going to be cheap and say no.
It's kind of where I was sitting. I was not that interested in moving up that high. 50s maybe. So maybe if we get down to 53, 54. So there you go. Packers are on the clock. 9 picks until the Chiefs pick.
JTT goes off the board from Ohio State. Let's see. Donovan Jackson, who stood in admirably when Simmons got hurt. He was a guy that I think in the second tier, if the Chiefs got stuck in a position where they had to make a second-round pick, I would have hoped he would be there. The Texas player is the other one, the second tier of the pairs of tackles that I think you would look at. But 54 looks like a good place to trade.
So 54 for, let's try 66 and what? No. Boy, they don't want to move that pick at all.
No, they do not. That, unfortunately, is probably the scenario that we're most likely to face. There could have been a little bit of pressure for someone to come up to 31 to get that fifth year option. But in the second round, I don't feel like many teams are going to feel that impetus. So I think we're just going to be in a position where we're not getting value unless we're sticking where we are. Maybe we can trade out of 63.
Two trades available.
We should take a look at those. With having 63 and 66 back to back, I could see something like the Patriots here. If we squeeze them a little bit, can we get 69 and 77 out of them for, say, 95 and 63? That kind of thing.
Try it
back. Yeah, it can't hurt, right? Move back a touch, move up a good bit. And so we get that done. That's pretty good. So now instead of 63, we've traded out of that for the New England Patriots. We're going to pick at 66, and then we're going to have another one 3 picks later again. So given that we already took a defensive tackle, Shamar Turner's up there, not the most productive player. So I'm glad that we got it done the way we did early. But now it leaves us another question mark at 66. Is there anybody on the board that we feel that can help us? Maybe there is another tight end there. I do like Mason Taylor's fit in this offense as well. It's not like the perfect one. I would think Arroyo would probably be more like what the Chiefs are looking for. But Ozzy Trapillo looks like a guy that might be able to fit the Chiefs' style, especially with Andy Heck coaching them. So a second tackle could be an option here. Let's see. Anything else stand out to you about who's where? The edges, while it might be a little top heavy, I don't know that the edge class is super deep in this class. So this does feel like we've done what we can do. We should probably make these couple of selections so we can get to day 3.
Yeah, nothing's really popping to me on this one.
I am going to be very, very tempted. If you just filter down to the offensive tackles and the wide receivers, that might give us a better idea. Otherwise, I think I have an idea. Okay, so no Sabanea. Okay. I think going with Ozzy Trapillo is a guy that could come in and at least give you swing reps and possibly become your right of the future, depending on what happens with Wanya. And I think that's a decent investment here.
Okay.
We get to take another bite of the apple here, 3 picks later in a very similar situation. Only missed out on halfback Sampson from Tennessee and corner Morrison from Notre Dame. So we can get a little bit more creative at this point, unless you want to trade out of this one as well.
No, I think we just go ahead and do a couple of picks because we have 69, 77. Have another pick and 8 picks after this. So
okay. I like the tight end
options.
Taylor. I like the tight end Arroyo. Let's see. Keep on scrolling. Unless you want to pick position specific.
No.
I do like RJ Harvey, by the way, as well as DJ Giddens is on the board here.
Yeah, but I think you could probably get one of those at 77.
Yeah, that's probably true. So I'm probably going to bite the bullet and go get Mason Taylor here with the 3rd pick and put him in that tight end room, see what that can become.
Okay. So then,
folks, we know these draft shows go a little bit long. We're going to get through this this day 2, and then we'll give you a break here. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. What you like about these picks. What you think we should have done instead. There's a lot to go here in the research phase of this pre-draft. The halfback Giddens from K-State, everybody loves him, and I don't blame him. It's a little rich here at 77 for me to take, but I can understand why somebody would. Do you want to try to trade back out and trade back down lower? See if we can garner another pick in the 120 or above.
So Seattle has 82.
It doesn't really help us there. It still leaves us that giant gap.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to help us. So to 86.
You'd love to take advantage of the Chargers a little bit.
You would. I don't think that the Chargers will trade with us with a decent value anyway. Let's see. So trading back 9 spots and coming up 8.
I would select that 125 and see what they say.
I mean, that's going to be accepted. Can we get anything for next year?
I'd do away with 133. I would want an extra pick here. That's what I'd be pushing for. Yeah, there you go. That's a twofer.
Yeah.
That means we are on the clock, folks. There we go. Moving back a few. We'll let some of these picks get out of the way. We'll get back onto the board where we can make a more informed decision. Now, Jalen Knoll is on the platform here as well. That's a possibility. The wide receiver spot. Giddens, as we've spoken about.
There.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised by that.
Harvey went a couple of picks ago. So this is where you could be looking at your running back. This is pick 86, so you're back into the 3rd round. It's
also a good spot for corners, so I would take a look at that group as well. We've got a backup tackle on board. We've got a defensive lineman on board. Let's see. Dorian Strong could fit the system. Obviously, we've talked quite a bit about Jacob Parrish, as well as Kobe Bryant and Mello Dotson, all the local prospects. Let's see if we could wait till 125. We might be in good shape there. So anybody ring out to you?
No, I think that they just need to be best player available at this point, who they think is going to fit their system and help them.
Well, at this point, why don't we just go with Giddens then? Put him in the backfield and let's get some lightning.
There you go, DJ Giddens.
Bada boom. That covers day 2. We now have 5 picks remaining for day 3. On the backside of this, we'll come back and see what we can do to garner and deepen this Chiefs roster right after this. All right. Now, we are not on the clock yet, but it looks like you're looking at trading back up. Yes?
I just paused it so we didn't get to the point where we were trying to catch on if we thought we wanted to go get somebody, but I don't think that we probably need to be making a trade unless we're going to be trading into this range. With 5 more picks, I just don't see Kansas City having that many spots available on the roster for.
Agreed. That's why I brought it up. Kobe Bryant just went off the board, which is makes me want to shed a tear here for a second, but it's going to be
especially
okay.
Considering he went to the Raiders.
Yeah, right. Not my favorite option here. Tez Johnson goes as well. So let's either resume it so we get on the board or trade away some of these extra picks. I don't think the Bills are going to trade with us, but could be wrong.
Well,
there goes Mello Dotson as well. Okay, so there went that plan. It is shredded. And the good thing is the Chiefs are going to set up tiers. So they don't necessarily, in fact, we should probably talk about this on another show. It's not targeting a specific player outside of the first round. Sometimes you'll get to that point where you want somebody in particular, but there are tiers, groups of players that will fit what you need. And that's probably the bigger aspect of trying to get that done.
There you go.
And so you pulled a trade going from 125 up to 118. We are discarding a compensatory pick at 251 to do it. Okay, so that puts us on the clock here in a second. And we saw Hyman Rucker and Jonas Sanker go off the board. Now you're into an interesting spot. We did fill in that secondary piece with the tight end in Taylor. And so Gunnar Helm would not be on the roster here. But keep moving down just a little bit. I see one name that I am intrigued by, but want to see who else is available right here in this little cluster. We did fill in a running back spot to get some burst there. So Jaden Blue would not be on the barrel here, but another Texan might. I do like Baron Sorrell. He has a capability of making some secondary plays. He's not the end-all, be-all Abdul Carter edge rusher, but in what has become a mixed front for the Kansas City Chiefs, having that second backup pass rusher that can come in and make some of those secondary plays might be worth investing here at 118. I do like Sorrell from Texas. That's probably where I'd go right here.
Let's do it. Puts us back on the clock at 133.
And now comes one of my favorite prospects in this draft as a value pick that could really pay off. Everybody likes to see this, right? Justin Ross is on this roster for what he uses his size for.
I already know where you're going with this.
Do you? Okay.
Yep.
So what you get in Torrey Horton is not only that size and that leaping ability, but 4.38 speed. This is a nice combination of being able to press down the field, but have somebody that you can put the ball into the corner and have him go get it, those kind of things. I do like his ability to go inside and play big slot as well, so I'd grab him.
Done.
Nothing like having a Ram. Okay, there we go. We are heading on down to 226 and 257. As the Chiefs
quite a wait.
This scenario. Yeah, it happens. But this is where you get extreme value. There's a couple of guys that I know, according to this scenario, or have a possibility of being here. And I think what I would say if I was trying to convince you is there's no position off the table at this point. At 226, if you're doubling up at X versus Y versus Z, I'm perfectly fine with it. There is a player in this immediate top 5 list that does stand out to me as somebody that can bring special teams work as well as pretty expensive and impressive athleticism to a position that they've been investing quite a bit at. And I'm not sure that they're done. We're going to see what the safety position comes down at. But Katana Crawford can get in there and run with the best with them. And I think it's somebody that could then play that special teams role and really kind of come up underneath to learn and maybe be somebody that plays reps on defense in 2026, that kind of thing. And that's, I think, perfectly fine at 226. Jimmy Horton's here on the board, and I do like some of what he does on the field. Malachi Moore's had a rough tumble at Alabama, but has seen a lot of ball that you might be able to rely on as well. The two defensive linemen, there's one of them out of Nebraska, Ty Robinson. I do like his fit for this team. So I don't know, anybody, any position or any group spark your interest?
Robinson, a guy that you think can be a rotational player?
I think he may be, yes.
There you go.
Okay.
Dave Toe's probably pissed at me at this point, but that's okay.
Dave's going to live. He's going to be all right. There are others. So that brings us down here and looking here as we get to choose Mr. Irrelevant. This is going to be, I think, just a dartboard. Whoever the Chiefs might have an inside look at, might have one trait that you think can really pay off. Keep going. I haven't seen anything yet that makes me scream, hey, grab that guy.
Here's the big thing on this pick specifically. This is the guy that you don't think you're going to be able to sign as an undrafted free agent. That is the extreme value in having Mr. Irrelevant. You get to take whoever you want that's left that you don't think you can get as a UDFA.
Yeah, and that is a very, very good point. The guy that stands out to me is Jabbar Muhammad right there, the corner from Oregon, a guy that could play teams for you, and I do think he's had some plays in the past that he's been able to make. Sigel's got some pretty good athleticism, could bring that as well. Let's see who else is down here. Nazir Stackhouse from Georgia's defensive lineman reminds me a lot of Malik Herring in a similar situation where it just never hit his actual potential. And maybe he fizzles out of the league. Maybe he sticks like Malik has and be able to contribute to somebody who wins a lot of ball games.
So the only one that you said that stood out to you
was Jabbar from the Oregon corner. Yep.
Jabbar Muhammad. Okay. And he rounds out the Chiefs draft class.
Okay. I'm not thinking they're going to give us a very good grade on this, but how happy are you with this selection group?
I'm not extremely happy about the tackle. I'm happy that they got interior defensive line. I don't know that there's a ton of value when you start talking the tight end in the third pick. And I wouldn't probably go running back in the third round as well, but I definitely understand the thought process. They need to get better at that position, and they have a bunch of guys that they keep bringing back that can do certain things, but nobody that can be the lightning in the bottle, which is what they need. So, I mean, not a horrible draft overall when you start looking at the grade.
Yeah. In the end, end up picking 4 players in the top 100, as we had planned to do previously. So I think sticking with that and just moving around within that 100 was some good trade-offs. Again, you can only go by what this scenario is and what the machine lets you do. But I think that this worked out fairly decent. We'd love to know what you guys think, which picks you like, which ones you don't, what you would have done differently. Put it all in the comments here on YouTube. Hit us on social media at Locked On Chiefs on X, et cetera, et cetera. And we're going to do this every Monday right up to the draft. We're going to have more draft content for you. As my rankings start to come out on NFL 33, go get subscribed over there if you want to see those. And we'll have Matt Derrick this week, back to normal, getting into all aspects of what the Chiefs need to do. If anything pops with Trey Smith or changes the scenarios of what they need to do, we'll have that as well. So any last takeaways from this?
No, I think that you were looking at a situation where if you get a D1, if you get a defensive tackle starter with your first pick, and I think that that's probably a good scenario for Kansas City. It's definitely something they need, and they're adding value down to edge and another defensive tackle a little bit later. Offensively, Trapillo, if he can become anything more than just a swing guy, that's a good pick. But you know, the question is going to be when you start looking at adding things to your offense, you know, does Horton and Giddens and Taylor take your offense forward another step or two?
Yeah. Or at least strengthen the depth of it. Yeah.
Yep.
And that is going to lead into further looks at free agency as well. Maybe some of these needs aren't there, or maybe the depth does get shorter before we get to draft day. There's a lot yet to come. We appreciate you guys being with us. Make sure that you like and sub and check out another Locked On show next. Get over to KC Chiefs Corner, RGR Football, and NFL 33. And if you want that draft guide or the Athletic Matrix, you can get it right now over at rogueapc.com. Really looking forward to this draft season. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks for listening to us today. We'll be back with you tomorrow.